3, 2. Welcome on in to the Earnestly Speaking UNFILTERED podcast, episode 77, I believe it is. Yes, it is episode 77. Today we have a great show. NBA trend deadline is now come and gone, and it was an active day really for one team. And LeBron James executed his... LeBron James was judge, jury, executioner, and GM today for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers blow the whole fucking thing up today. We'll get into that in a second on today's show. And with the Cavs, with these moves, the moves they made today, where do they stand now in the pecking order of the Eastern Conference? I mean, right now they're not right now the way they play right now, they're not beating Golden State, not beating Houston, in the West. But right now they need to get out of the conference. So that's the first thing. Dwayne Wade's back in Miami. I have a lot of reaction to that. There's a lot of reaction locally here in South Florida to that. Mixed, mostly positive. There's some negative stuff, but we'll get to that in a second. I'll explain why I think it's a good move for the Miami Heat. Jimmy Garoppolo, San Francisco 49ers gave him a new extension, so I like that. We'll get into that also as well. I also want to talk about the Quincy Jones interview that was on Vulture.com actually recently. Quincy Jones, the legendary, to me, the greatest producer in music history. He pulled no punches in his interview with Vulture this week. I want to get to some reaction to that, of course. And ESPN is also offering a streaming service finally. It's been about time, but they're about to offer a streaming service to their consumers. And I'll get to that in a second. My opinions on all that. First off, if I get the show started, number one, my son is here with me. If I can show him real quick, he's here hanging out. Logan, say hi. Say hi. All right. Let's get to the Cavs first. The Cavaliers blow the whole fucking thing up today. Now, LeBron's still there, Kevin Love's still there, J.R. Smith's still there, Tristan Thompson's still there, but pretty much half the fucking team is gone. Pretty much half the team is gone, traded away. Mainly Isiah Thomas, who was traded to the Lakers today. I don't remember the other piece that came with him, honestly, but he was the main piece was Isiah Thomas being traded away. I mean, Isiah Thomas has been very vocal the last couple of weeks with the Cleveland Cavaliers about the fact that the Cavaliers just pretty much suck. And some of this Isiah Thomas said the last couple weeks, I honestly do agree with to some degree. To some degree. But when you're a hypocrite, when you're calling folks out doing the same thing that you're doing, or not doing for that matter, playing defense and hustling for loose balls and whatnot, it makes you look bad, and it makes you a problem in the locker room. So the Cavaliers had to blow it up. They blew the whole thing up. Derrick Rose is gone. Isiah Thomas is gone. Who else is gone there? Dwayne Wade, like I said, back to Miami. He's gone, although that wasn't really as a big issue. A lot of guys are gone. A lot of guys are gone for the Cavaliers, and they have now blown the whole thing up. They are now, they're not rebuilding, obviously. They're replacing pieces here. They acquire George Hill from Sacramento. They acquire Ronnie Hood from Utah. And then they also got, from the Lakers, in that deal, they got Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance Jr. from the Lakers. Also, the Lakers traded their pick. The Cavaliers traded their first round pick, not the Brooklyn pick, but their first round pick for next year away to the Lakers as well too. And to me, this had to be done. To me, it was about making a move because this is far beyond basketball. This is far beyond on the court performance. Because if they're winning, even with the issues the Cavaliers had last couple weeks, if they're winning, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter at all because they're winning. But losing always boldens the issues. It always puts a spotlight on the issues. And their issues were far gone. Way too many leakers out there. Way too many people talking about issues with the team. So it got to the point no return for this team, and they had to do what they had to do. So the Cavaliers, LeBron, Kobe Altman, Dan Gilbert, I don't know who it is, whoever nuked this fucking thing, it worked. So we'll see how these new players fit in. I don't. The Cavaliers next game at least on Saturday. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't had a chance yet, but they had to move Isiah Thomas. Isiah Thomas, look, and it's funny with Isiah Thomas. What a difference a year makes. What a difference a year makes. At this time last year, he was a top 5 MVP candidate for the Boston Celtics. Okay, he was a guy that was tearing the league up. He was moving the Celtics to the #1 seed Eastern Conference. He was a MVP candidate, top 5, and well deservedly so. Right now, he is public enemy number one. He may not even see a starting job again. He may not make a lot of money anymore. It's a lot. The Isiah Thomas we saw last season is gone. The Isiah Thomas this year is politically incorrect rather, calling people out, which is fine, but you don't call people out and then you put the same things you're not doing yourself. So that's a bad look. So Isiah Thomas is now a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. Not sure he'll be a starter either because, in case you forget, Lonzo Ball is the starting point guard, which while injured, he'll be back at some point. By the way, Lonzo Ball, congratulations, word out yesterday he's going to be having his first child. Him and his girlfriend are reportedly expecting their first child soon. So 9 months from now. So, but congratulations to Lonzo Ball and his family if this is true. But back to the Cavs. The Cavs had to do this, and so now I look at this move on paper. She asked me, well, EJ, what does this mean? Are the Cavs now the favorites in the Eastern Conference again? I say yes, because I think some of the issues they had, they can now correct. They're now able to invest in. At the very least, the Cavaliers got younger, more athletic, and more interesting. Because they're boring as shit. Like, I watch Cavs games all the time, and they're boring as shit. To me, I believe that the favorites, at least in the East. They're not beating Golden State still. They're not beating Houston right now, unless I see something transpire with this crew that was tell me something different. But otherwise, the Cavaliers to me are right back as a favorite in the Eastern Conference. They may not get the number one seed. It's likely they won't get the number one seed. This year. But at the very least, they rectify some of the mistakes they made, and hopefully they now have a chance to redo the whole thing and reboot and go from there and start from fresh. I mean, so to me, from that angle, I think it's good enough. From that angle, I think it's good enough. So we'll see where that goes. Cavaliers, I think, a number one seed again, number one team in the Eastern Conference again, team to beat again, because I believe these pieces with LeBron James will help this team moving forward with 29 games to go in a year. So that's just that. So we'll see how this team gels in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, as I said, one of the moves that was made on that trade was Dwayne Wade going to back to Miami for nothing really. The Cavaliers are getting a heavily protected second round pick that 2024. I will be 44 years old when that pick matters, and if it even matters at all, because it may not even be conveyed because it's 2024. So basically, hold on, I'm trying to. Basically, what happened here is the Heat gave him nothing for Dwayne Wade, nothing. And people are asking, well, he's going to help the Heat? Yeah, because the Heat have been a solid team. They lost 5 in a row now, but they've been a solid team this year. But they don't have a closer, and losing Deion Waiters hurt that was the issue. And now with Dwayne Wade, at least you have a guy now who can at least close out games for you, or create with the basketball in stretches. Look, Dwayne Wade's not going to play 30 minutes a game. We know that already. Dwayne Wade's going to play somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 18 minutes a game. But he's familiar here. He's from this place. This is his home, Wade County, of course. I think this is a great time for Dwayne Wade to end his career on a high note. And I think because he's needed, because he's wanted, and his need is definitely here, because the Heat don't have a closer. The Heat could have 4 or 5 more wins right now if they had a closer. They don't have a closer. They have good basketball players, but none of those guys are guys who can create the basketball and create a shot down the stretch. Dwayne Wade, even at age 36, can still do that for you. So I think that's a great move for the Miami Heat, and I think going forward, that'll actually help this team to at least get better positioning in the Eastern Conference as they now get down the stretch for these last 2 months before the playoffs begin in the NBA. So I like the move because it's a low risk, low risk, high reward move, and that's just that, and that's all you can ask for. So I like the move for Wade to Miami, and it excites the fan base, and he's supposed to play tomorrow, so we'll see what happens there. Okay. NFL news. Jimmy Garoppolo already a rich man. The Niners lock him up. 5 years, $137.5 million. He is locked up. Remember, the Niners have the most cap room, or expect to have the most cap room this offseason of any NFL team. They lock in their quarterback. And to me, honestly, smartest move that the Niners did. Don't let this drag into free agency. lock them up. You know you got to pay top dollar for quarterbacks. You know that. If you want even a semi-average quarterback like a Kirk Cousins, you're going to pay at least $20 for the services. So you know June teacher guy. You got a 5-game sample of him. 10 of the year. He was 5-0. Lock him up. So the Niners took care of business. They can now focus on, plugging pieces here away. A lot of cap room. They got a draft coming up. They got a lot of work to do. But the Niners right now are in a good place. I think I've been saying it right now. I think the Niners will be this year's Rams. I think the Niners will win about 8, 9, 10 games next year if they do things right. And to me, it looks like they're doing things right. The way that team responded to Jimmy Garoppolo at the end of the year showed great stuff. And you look at the NFC West. The NFC West is wide open now. The Rams are good. How good they're going to be next year? Will they drop back a little bit? We'll see. The Seattle Seahawks, they're in transition. We don't know what's going to happen to the Seahawks. Now, they got Russell Wilson, obviously, which will get you 8, 9 wins a year. But we'll want the other wins you need to get. And then you have the Cardinals, who are right now in transition. They might be the worst team in all of the right now going into next year. The Niners did what they had to do. They locked up Jimmy Garoppolo. Now they can focus on building that roster around him. I think Jimmy Garoppolo will be a top 10 quarterback going into the year. I feel very confident in that. I love his skill set. I'm very happy. I wasn't very happy because I'm not a Niners fan, but in terms of the storyline, I think the Niners did a great thing here. The Niners are smart. They took care of business, and I think they are going to be a team to look out for next year. I think they did a big story next year entering the season. So about the Patriots, of course, and their dynasty and how close they are to the end of the dynasty. And that's obviously interesting, too. Although I think them retaining Josh McDaniels actually extends their thing by another year, probably. But Jimmy Garoppolo and the Niners are going to be the biggest story and the most interesting case study next year in the NFL. We'll see how that turns out. We'll see how that works out for the Niners. I think they're going to be a team to be reckoned with next year, especially if you believe that how they ended the year this year. Okay. Quincy Jones. Okay, I want to get on a little music thing here. Quincy Jones. If you know Quincy Jones, obviously, if you were remember this, listen to this podcast, you know I'm a big music fan. Quincy Jones, obviously, to me, the greatest producer, bar none, in any genre in the history of music. Don't come at me with anything. He's the greatest producer. All these fucking kids here that think they know anything about music, no. He's the greatest producer. You're listening to music today because of Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones is the guy that changed the game. Okay? Period. In discussion. Okay. So Quincy Jones had an interview with Vulture.com this past, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, the interview dropped. And he went balls to the wall. Quincy Jones went balls to the wall. He went fucking nuclear on everybody. He called out everybody from Michael Jackson to the Beatles to Richard Pryor to Donald Trump. The guy's 85 years old. This is the one thing I've been saying for years. One of the cool things about getting old is that when you get old, it somewhat being old is a license to be a fucking asshole. And you can say what the fuck you want. And Quincy Jones did not hold back. Okay? Now, some things he said there may be a little embellished. Excuse me, I'm getting a little cold still. But Quincy Jones did not hold back on this interview. For example, he insinuated that Michael Jackson was a thief. That he stole music. And a lot of Michael Jackson fans like myself were pissed off by it first. But he wasn't... I think some things he said there about Michael was actually tame. I don't think it was that big a deal. I don't think it was that big a deal. These fans who were just defending Michael, and you say anything bad about Michael, you're putting it on. I get that, but I don't think he said anything out of line other than the whole thing about him not having his skin disease. He called that bullshit. Okay, fine. You don't think he's had skin disease? That's fine. His autopsy says so. So I guess fuck the autopsy, right? Whatever. Doesn't matter. His autopsy did say he had a skin disease. He had no like on lupus. Well, okay, no, whatever. But I don't think Michael got the biggest piece of it. He made fun of the Clintons. Basically assuming that Hillary Clinton told a lot of secrets and the Clintons are untrustworthy. Talking about Big Pharma and that how Big Pharma is a big issue. That was actually the segue for Michael Jackson to the Clintons, the Big Pharma thing. And that they're the issue. He claims that Sam Giancana killed JFK. Because those connections about him getting votes and all that stuff. He torched the Beatles. This quote of the Beatles was sick. I want you to read the quote he said about the Beatles. because the guy who interviewed him asked him his impression of the Beatles, and this is what he said with the Beatles: that they're the worst musicians in the world. Excuse me. They were no-playing motherfuckers. Paul was the worst bass player I ever heard, and Ringo, don't even talk about it. I remember once we were in the studio with George Martin and Ringo had taken 3 hours for a 4-bar thing he was trying to fix on a song. He couldn't get it. We said, mate, why don't you get some Lager and lime, some shepherd's pie, and take an hour and a half and relax a little bit? So we did. And we called Ronnie Varell, a jazz drummer. Ronnie came in for 15 minutes and tore it up. Ringo comes back and says, George, can you play it back for me one more time? So George did. And Ringo says, that didn't sound so bad. So Quincy Jones replies, yeah, motherfucker, because that ain't you. Great guy, though. He tortures everybody in this thing. He accused, let me see here. He accused, Richard Pryor and Marlon Brando for having sex with each other. And then Richard Pryor's widow confirms this. Wow. So he went nuclear on every motherfucker in this interview, okay? And I gotta be honest with you. Look, first off, as a Michael Jackson fan, die hard, okay? Don't like when people talk shit about the guy, number one. However, with Quincy Jones, you gotta sort of take it with a grain of salt, some degree, because Quincy Jones was like a father to him, protective to a point. Obviously, there's some resentment, I think, there, because I think after the bad album, Michael chose not to work with him anymore. Okay, hold on, my son here is crying here. Give me one quick second. Give him some puffs real quick. Here's your puffs right here. There you go. I think there was some resentment to that, to Michael, towards Michael, because of that, Michael decided to part ways after the bad album. But that being said, I don't think what he said about Michael was that big a deal. Okay? Because guess what? Everybody steals from everybody to some degree. I don't think he said Michael Jackson stole all his music from everybody else, but I think he said that he thought that certain people deserve more credit for the stuff they did on the records with Michael. Like, for example, that Greg Philliganes, Michael's conductor on many of his records and tours, deserve more credit for the bridge on Don't Stop to Get Enough. Okay, which, by the way, Michael did acknowledge in a deposition way back in 1993 that he did credit for arrangements on that. So, whatever. That's an opinion. But what I like about this interview was this. I like the fact that Quincy Jones is not a lot more. Quincy Jones is honest. He's not politically correct. I like honest people. I like people who just tell like it is. Okay? Sometimes to a fault. This is an old school guy. We have 30-year-olds who are really pissed at Quincy Jones for saying shit that an 85-year-old is saying. Here's the thing. He's 85 years old. He's from another generation, another era. You have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. Okay? Don't take things he said, as 100% fact. Okay? But however, I do think that a lot of things he said here are probably true. And actually, not only that, I believe that some things he did say here, is a bit refreshing too. So I'm not gonna lie to you. Quincy Jones is an asshole, yes. But you know what? Sometimes that's kind of fucking refreshing. Okay? And even in the age of Trump, it's kind of refreshing. Okay? I'm not gonna lie to you. Again, he said some things there that were kind of like, what the fuck? But then again, it was just Michael. He got everybody back. Everybody got a piece of this shit. Everybody got a piece of it. Okay, Quincy Jones lived the life the way he wanted to. Okay, he was honest, open about it, and he's to this day he's still that way. So I can't hold that against him necessarily. Okay, I really can't hold it against him. So Quincy Jones, whatever, it is what it is. He's old. He's getting old. He's probably senile. What the fuck? Who gives a crap? Okay, these things won't resonate because half these people he's talking about are dead already. So it doesn't matter or even relevant anymore. So that is the truth. Finally, ESPN is actually rolling out a new streaming service, which you're going to pay $5 a month for, which, by the way, okay, whatever. The thing with that is this. ESPN's problem is that they're too reactive. I don't think anybody's going to pay for ESPN's service because of this. ESPN doesn't offer anything that's actually authentic or anything that's worth anything to pay for that you couldn't get on a podcast or you couldn't get by stealing your mom's login service. Otherwise, there isn't something there to pay for. Like when I buy Netflix that I want to watch Stranger Things, House of Cards, etc., all the original programming. Okay, now I may buy ESPN because I like ESPN some of their programming. Don't get me wrong. When I buy HBO, I buy HBO because I want to watch Game of Thrones, Sex and the City. Yes, I do watch that show. Shut the fuck up. And many other shows on there. I pay for their content. ESPN's content, I don't know if it's strong enough on its own to just buy. Like, we watch ESPN for other reasons. Obviously sports on TV, basketball's on TV, football's on TV, yes. But you're paying for games. individual games. Is it enough to sustain you for a whole year? I don't know. Like, would you pay $5 a month to watch Around the Horn and PTI? Now, I would personally, because I'm into sports media. I like that stuff, so I would actually pay for that stuff. $5 a month is not a big deal for me. Maybe it's for you. I don't know. For me, it isn't. But the problem with ESPN I had, and I did a podcast about this about a few months ago, last year, is that ESPN is more reactive than proactive. They waited until everything fell apart before they fell behind the ball on the streaming service. They've waited until everything else happened with the league deals before they reacted to it. ESPN has been very reactive, not proactive. They've not been able to create their own way to do things moving forward. And now they're behind the ball, and now they're losing. Now they're bleeding subscribers for whatever reason, whether it's being too liberal, which I think is a little bit far fetched to some degree. They can be at times, but I don't think it's enough to make a big deal about. I think a lot of the programs a lot of people is just stale in general, and not only that, I just think there are more options. You have cable. Obviously, people don't watch cable much anymore, but there are a lot more options too now that you have than you had in years past. So that is the fucking truth. That's just is what it is. So ESPN can benefit. I heard Clay Travis on his podcast a couple days ago. He had a great idea actually for this. And Clay Travis is very controversial. He said some things outlandish, but Clay Travis made a great point here. If ESPN is going to do something like this, they need to take all their content, podcasts, include everything, and make it all behind a big paywall, like a Patreon. Like $5 a month for all this shit. You want access to all that stuff? You want access to all podcasts? You want access to all videos? Insider stuff. $5 a month for all the shit that's beyond the paywall, and that will work. That'll work. Chris Jones is correct, because I had the same idea also too. Because you need to make your content more valuable. The way you can do that is to put everything behind a paywall. Because there are people who listen to ESPN shows on a regular. ESPN radios make them a lot of money. The podcast, a lot of people like myself, I listen to Stephen A. Smith. I listen to First Take once in a while. I listen to Will Kane, other shows here and there. But I listen to them on a podcast, not really live. So put the podcast and make it available behind a paywall. What Clay Travis said yesterday on his podcast was 100% correct. He was right on that mark. So that's what I would do. So anyway, I am done. I am out. First time doing video here, which I may put up. We'll see. Earnestly Speaking UNFILTERED podcast. I gotta go to get a kid. I'm done here. Talk to you guys later. I'm actually dropping an Earnestly podcast later tonight. I'm doing a recorded podcast trade deadline review, and I think tomorrow Boston Jets come on the show to finally, after 5 days, react to his Patriots losing. That's how he feels. He was pretty pissed off. He was pretty pissed off the last couple of days. So we'll see what happens next on the podcast tomorrow. So all right. So then, God bless you guys. See ya. Check out the video, of course, Earnestly TV. I am out. Earnestly.net's the site. Take care. Love you guys. See ya.